Good evening to your viewers here in Nairobi and across the country. Thank you very much indeed for choosing KUTV at 9 today. I'm Corazon Safan. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight. President Uhuru begins his 3-day tours in the north. Court leaders call on the prosecution of security chiefs. Missing Egyptian airline crashed in the Mediterranean Sea. In sports, United warms up to Wembley face-off with Palace. On our top story tonight, President Uhuru Kenyatta has hit back on demands by the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy called for national dialogue to discuss the disbandment of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, that is the IEBC, telling the opposition to use the law if they want to reform the electoral body. He spoke at Elwak, Wargadud and Ramu towns in Mandera County, where he was accompanied by his deputy William Ruto after launching the development projects at the start of his 3-day tour to the northeastern region.
Ndio itakuwa ya kwanza ya lami kujaribu kuunganisha kaunti ya Mandera.
As pressure mounts on IEBC disbandment, the government has come out again to tell the aggrieved party, in this case the opposition wing led by Raila Odinga, to use the law in addressing the IEBC issue. While on an official 3-day tour to the northeastern part of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta has come out again to emphasize that he has no power to send IEBC commissioners home.
Tunamuuliza ule ndugu yetu ambaye anaitwa Raila Odinga, anataka watu wangapi wafi? Anataka damu kiasi gani imwagike ili apate ile anatafuta? Wale ambayo hatukubali ni kwamba wanaleta wananchi barabarani, kunatokea umwagigaji wa damu.
Sina uwezo wa kuondoa Liza Kisaka. Mimi sina uwezo wa kuondoa IEBC. So na wanajua hivyo. Kwa hivyo hiyo shida ambayo wako naye waipeleke bunge.
The Court Coalition had written a letter to the president asking for dialogue, despite them insisting they will go on with their demonstration every Monday. The clergy on their part had the same opinion with the embattled IEBC that only law and dialogue should be used to end the debate on IEBC.
The commissioners hold this office, their offices by virtue of the Constitution, and as we have said in our last press conference, we will continue to discharge our duties, and we will not resign. I didn't say the commissioners want to go to jail. So I think sometimes you will report what we say in meetings.
And have taken their answer. They would not resign their positions. They will challenge protagonists around IEBC to follow the due process of law. Agreeing with the Commission, elections are just around the corner.
During his trip to the northeastern region, he launched the Elwak-Ramu Road and initiated development projects in the area, including improvement of Elwak Level 4 Hospital. Irene Mwangi, KUTV.
The Mijikenda Council of Elders have raised their voice on the ongoing stalemate on ways to resolve the IEBC equation ahead of the 2017 polls. At the same time, a section of elders from Garissa County also urged court leaders to seek civil ways to eject the IEBC from office, welcoming the move by the clergy to broker a peaceful solution. CORD has remained adamant over the IEBC disbandment, leading protests against the Isaka Sunlight Commission on claims that it has also lost credibility in handling a free and fair election process.
Give dialogue a chance. These are sentiments now too common in the country, as several leaders urge CORD Coalition to suspend the constant street demonstrations witnessed in the country. The latest to ask for dialogue is the Mijikenda Council of Elders, who had converged at their Malindi offices. They called on the government to invite all the stakeholders to discuss the issue that has since raised political temperatures in the country. Led by Vincent Mwachiro, they say demonstrations will not yield any fruits as IEBC officials are protected by the Constitution. He added that mass action was a recipe for chaos as witnessed in 2007.
Katika nchi hii tulipitisha katiba mpya ambayo inamlinda kila mtu. Ina mwelekeo wa vile tume hili ilivyoanzwa na inavyoweza kutoka. na wale wanaoenda kufanya yale mambo sio hati hawajui hayo, wanayajua, lakini tunatishiwa kwamba 2007 2008 ilianza mambo kama yale madogo tu, nchi moja hiyo inaitwa Nairobi, na mambo yale yakaenea na yakaleta uhasama mwingi.
The elders added that Kenyans had no faith in IEBC, the judiciary and police, warning that Kenyans needed peace. According to Joseph Mwarandu, it is unfortunate that CORD threatens to take the police to court, and yet they have no faith in the same court to solve the IEBC stalemate, terming this as a double standard on the side of CORD.
Hata huyo kinara wa upinzani ambaye sasa ndiye anaongoza haya maandamano, wakati wale IEBC wakichaguliwa alikuwa katika mamlaka, na yeye anajua kabisa kwamba walichagua, na hii kamati ya IEBC ni kamati ambayo imechaguliwa kitaifa, imechaguliwa kikatiba, na kama ni kuondolewa basi sheria ifuatwe.
A section of elders from Garissa were not left behind as they urged CORD to seek civil ways to remove IEBC from office. Led by their chair Dubat Ame, they asked CORD to suspend the weekly demonstrations, adding that religious leaders had an integral role to play due to their perceived non-partisan approach.
Mtu amepitia madaraka kama hayo anaweza kuchochea raia wapigane? Majibu ni la. Nataka kumwambia wakubwa hawa wa upinzani waweke mdomo ya kuchochea, ya kupiganisha Kenya moja, wawache, wakae chini, wawache kukasirika.
CORD has accused Isaac Hassan-led Commission of corruption, bias and incompetence. However, Isaac Hassan has maintained they won't resign. Nancy Okware, KUTV.
And still on the IEBC stalemate in the wave of demonstrations, the opposition alliance CORD wants the director of public prosecution, Keriako Tobiko, to probe the police brutality during Monday's protest and open prosecutions file for officers who are captured beating protesters. They asked Tobiko to ensure Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet and County Commander Japheth Koome to be prosecuted for giving commands not preventing police from causing harm to citizens who are expressing their right. They continue to insist they will go on with their demonstrations every Monday.
3 days now since the third anti-IEBC protest, the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy CORD now have written a letter to the DPP Keriako Tobiko to ensure Nairobi County Police Boss Japheth Koome and Inspector General Joseph Boynet take responsibility of police who broke the law. Nairobi Police Commander Japheth Koome had warned in his earlier address to the press that they are armed and ready to tackle any acts of violence, decisively saying they will not allow the protests to turn into acts of hooliganism and destruction of property.
We are not going to allow any lawlessness at all. We stated where any Kenyan is not happy with any public officer or state officer, let that fellow Kenyan use the right procedure.
They also stated that the Cabinet Secretary for Internal Security, Joseph Nkaiseri, has broken the law in his words and deeds before the protest. The statement was read by Senator Johnston Muthama and Senator James Horengo, since the leader of opposition Raila Odinga is away in South Africa attending a conference on the future of African cities, though he states he will be back in time to attend the fourth anti-IEBC protest. Irene Mwangi, KUTV, Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Irene Mwangi. And from that report and the demonstrations that have been going on all over the country and the conduct of the police, we get a viewpoint question tonight where we ask you if you think Nkaiseri and his team should be held accountable over violent police conduct. Do you think Nkaiseri and his team should be held accountable over violent police conduct? Send us your feedback to our SMS number 22766. Our Twitter handle is @_KUTV and our Facebook page is KUTV. We'll sample your views and your feedback as we proceed with the bulletin and at the very tail end of this bulletin. The missing Egyptian flight from Paris to Cairo made 2 sharp turns before plunging into the Mediterranean Sea, Greece Defense Minister says. The minister says the plane had turned 90 degrees left, then a 30-60 degrees turn to the right before disappearing from the radar. 66 people were on board the Egypt Air flight, most of them from the Egypt and France. A Bulletin was among the passengers of the 66. 56 were passengers, 7 were crew members, and there were security personnel as well. And from that unfortunate report on the missing airline, we are taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. We are coming back with so much more on local and sports news. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it KUTV News at 9. And now survivors of the Huruma collapsed building tragedy come to terms with what has befallen them. Many of those evicted from the buildings marked for demolition are frantically begging their neighbors in other buildings for a place to shelter for the night. As KUTV's Ann Mashara reports, the evictees are now breaking the brunt of punishment being meted on them for sins committed by their landlords.
As emergency workers retrieved bodies from the Huruma building that collapsed a few weeks ago, claiming 51 lives, hundreds of Huruma estate residents have been evicted from nearby buildings that are being torn down to prevent other deadly disasters. A 1 week of grace period had been offered by the Nairobi County government did not make any difference to the evictees, where one-time tenants are now evicted from the buildings, have faulted the operation now that they have been left struggling to settle afresh.
Kwa hii kitu ilitendeka, watu walipata shida sana. Familia wengi walikuwa wametegemea hapa wakikaa. Sasa vile hii kitu imetendeka, walipata shida, wengine wakatoroka. Sasa hatujui wameenda wapi.
Some of them, for one reason or the other, have been deprived of their places of abode. The displacement rendered them homeless and out of business. Though they were given notice before the displacement exercise, their financial capacity did not give them the opportunity to afford another home or another business.
Tuliletewa notice ya wiki moja. Tulipatiwa kutoka tarehe 9 mpaka tarehe 7 iwe tumehama. Sasa sikuwa na pesa. Sasa nilikuwa nimejaribu kukaa nikiangalia pesa ikanishinda. Sasa venye juzi sasa watu wa National Disaster Management Unit wakakuja.
For some people, since they came from far to seek for greener pastures in the city, find it exceedingly impossible to go to another place of abode or even go back home. Over 200 structures are marked unfit for human habitation within Nairobi and are victims awaiting destruction. Other estates awaiting bulldozers are Ruisambu, Hazina, Zimmerman, Kahawa West, Umaja and Dagoretti. Ann Mashara, KUTV.
Quite unfortunate for the evictees. A man has died in Murang'a County after a perimeter wall collapsed on top of him in Murang'a town following last night heavy rains. It is believed the structure may have been degraded by the heavy rains and flooding that happened in the area last night. Meanwhile, in Kisii County, a cross-section of Kisii town residents have protested against an impassable section of the road which flooded during the heavy rains. Simon Maina with more details.
Peter Katungo, who was identified as the deceased, died after the perimeter wall of the premises was guarding fell on his house. He said to have gone back to the house to prepare tea and chill for the rain when the unexpected happened. According to Haron Mirore, who is the owner of the building, the wall of the house came down during the downpour that rocked in Murang'a yesterday. Mirore blamed poor drainage design, saying it caused the collapse of the wall.
Mimi nimepigiwa simu ati maji imeanza kuingia kwa plot. Dakika kidogo nikaambiwa ukuta imeanguka na hakuna wakati hata moja kumewahi kuingia maji. Hiyo maji imeingia leo tu na ikafanya hiyo maafa.
And in Kisii County, a cross-section of Kisii town residents have protested against an impassable section of the road which flooded during the heavy rains. The protesters lamented that the section of the road at Daraja Mbili next to Kenya Power regional offices had become a nightmare.
Hata mahali ng'ombe na rara inakaa afadhali kushinda barabara. Hii barabara ni mbaya, Mukiangalia Kisii County tunapigaga kura kila wakati, lakini kusaidiwa tusaidiwi.
Joseph Simba accused the county government of ignoring the road, despite the fact that county senior officers, including the governor, used it.
Wananchi wanaomba county government na national government wasaidie watu hii barabara. Watu wengi hata wafanya biashara wa daraja mbili ndio wanatumia. Hiyo ndio itaweza saidia watu.
He said the road was a disaster in the waiting, claiming that the county government had no more authority to lecture residents on disaster management preparedness. Simon Maina, KUTV.
And from Kisii to Kabarnet Town, irate border operators in Kabarnet Town burned to death two suspected thieves after they were found to be in possession of a stolen motorbike at Kaptimbor. More than 10 motorcycles are stolen every month in Kabarnet, with operators sustaining injuries as the thieves attacked them before making away with the motorbikes.
The proverbial 40 days of a thief came to an end for two motorbike thieves in Kabarnet Town who were burnt to death in separate points last night and today in the morning. The first suspect, only identified as Omondi, was found with a stolen motorbike at Kaptimbor. He was aboard the motorcycle with his accomplice who managed to escape. The operators, who couldn't hold their anger after discovering he had stolen more than 10 motorbikes from various operators, set him ablaze after making him drink some of the petrol.
Atulali hapa inabidi ulale kitanda pande boda hapa hivi. Ukiacha nje asubuhi upati.
Kabarnet Police Commandant Peter Ndungu later confirmed the incident and that the two bodies have been preserved at Kabarnet mortuary. More than 10 motorcycles are stolen every month in Kabarnet, with the operators sustaining injuries as the thieves attack them before making away with their motorcycles. Jesse Rogers reporting for KUTV.
Drama ensued today in Nzoia, Bungoma County between police and border operators and truck drivers. Employees of Nzoia Sugarcane Company were rioting over imprisonment of their leaders, who they claim have committed no offense, and asked for their immediate release. The demonstration paralyzed the company operations, making all roads that head to the company impassable. They used tractors and lorries to barricade the roads, chanting circumcision ritual songs. They blamed the police for using excessive force while dealing with the border operators too. Saying goes, all men are equal, but some are more equal than others. Today, life is survival for the fittest. However, what can be said if the discouraged individuals living with disabilities that we see on the streets daily begging for their livelihood? The weak have given up and feel helpless, but the strong live life to the best of their ability and refuse to be pardoned or taken pity on. Indeed, disability is not inability.
The unfortunate state some of these people living with disabilities find themselves in is as a result of abandonment by family and the society, as well as being prevented from enjoying equal rights as others. Grace Kawala, the Special Needs Secretary in Kenyatta University, shares some of the challenges that they encounter daily.
You go to a social gathering where everybody else is there, but people look at you as if you're in the wrong place. So they are giving you that weird look like you shouldn't be here. Reason being, you are challenged.
Dennis Murage, a visually impaired music major at the Kenyatta University, also expressed his disappointment on being looked down upon by others in society.
What before ku accept wewe ni nani and what you can do inakuwa ni issue. Unaenda unaambia mtu, maybe tuseme unaambia mtu akusaidia kitu kadogo, but since ule mtu maybe akona certain mentality juu ya watu akona disability, kusaidia inakuwa ni issue.
Despite the challenges faced, Grace and Dennis believe that disabilities do not have to hinder or deter anyone from achieving their dreams. Truly, disability is not inability.
I usually believe having disability, it's not a gate or a gate pass to yako uanze kuomba.
We have the potential to do it. We are the masters of our own destiny. We can make it. We just have to believe in ourselves, accept ourselves the way we are, and we move on.
Speaking on behalf of people living with disability, Grace says that there is need for every institution of higher learning to give equal chances to them without discrimination.
For the universities that do not have such a slot, I would encourage them to at least make sure that in every university they accommodate students with disability, they make the environment friendly, they provide the necessary facilities so that we can all be integrated in all the institutions.
On the same note, some parents are to be blamed as those with children with disabilities hide and isolate them from the public. This is an issue that Grace has greatly condemned, as people living with disabilities are human beings too, and therefore deserve to enjoy their God-given rights.
For the parents who have children with disability, is first of all to accept them the way they are, because once you've accepted them, it also gives them the confidence and the strength to also accept themselves.
Grace encouraged those living with disabilities and urged them to strive for independence. She commended the talent that they have and urged them to flourish it.
For my fellow persons with disability, I know that our challenges bring along a lot of obstacles, but we have the potential to overcome them and lead the lives that we want for ourselves.
Hakuna Mungu kama wewe, hakuna Mungu kama wewe.
Indeed, we should focus on talent and character rather than physical features. Amanda Boniki, KUTV.
Amazing report there by Amanda Mwaniki. Indeed, disability is not inability. It is amazing to see people living with disability taking charge of their lives and tapping deep into their potential. Well, in our conversation tonight regarding the violent police conduct, we were asking you on your take if you think Nkaiseri and his team should be held accountable over the violent police conduct. Thank you very much for your feedback. We have Jermaine from Roy Sambo who says Nkaiseri is on record warning on what would befall the protesters. In this, he ought to take responsibility for his comment. We have Lopez from Mombasa who says, as the CS responsible for Kenyan safety, Nkaiseri should be on the forefront demanding accountability for the IG. Thank you very much. Keep your feedback coming to us on our SMS number 22766, our Twitter handle as well, that is @_KUTV, and our Facebook page too. Keep talking to us. KUTV News at 9 now takes a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with sports news. Welcome back as we get into the world of sports. Sevilla produced a stunning comeback to win the Europa League for a record third consecutive year and qualified for the Champions League at the expense of Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp's side looked on course to secure the prize of Champions League football on offer to the winners of the competition when Daniel Sturridge's magnificent strike with the outside of his left foot gave them the internal lead. The good luck was wrecked in the first 17 seconds of the second half when Kevin Gamiero turned in Mariano Ferrari's cross to put Sevilla level. Liverpool, who were denied a clear first half penalty when Sevilla's Daniel Carrico clearly handled as Roberto Firmino tried to weave past him, never recovered.
And he tees it up and it's the perfect start, and it's Camero. And that's how you start the second half of the European final, when you're behind, and Sevilla's danger man punishes Liverpool. Wave after wave of severe attacks in this second half.
And to FA Cup final, Manchester United step FA Cup final preparations against Crystal Palace. Time is running out for Louis van Gaal to win over doubters at Old Trafford. Jesse Lingard has also called on his teammates to show patience at Wembley. Fullback Luke Shaw stepped up his fitness as he trained with the group. Timothy Fosu-Mensah will almost certainly miss the game through injury when Rooney was all smiles as he and his Manchester United teammates belatedly began their preparations for this Saturday's FA Cup finals against Crystal Palace. Louis van Gaal put his players through their paces on Thursday morning after plans for the Wembley showpiece was skewed by their final Premier League fixtures with Bournemouth originally being cancelled when a dummy bomb was found in a toilet. Having come through the rearranged game with a 3-1 victory, United finished the season in 5th level on points with the rivals Manchester United, but outside the Champions League places on goal difference. Thank you very much indeed for keeping me company for KUTV News at 9 tonight. But on our conversation tonight, we're asking for your take if you think Nkaiseri and his team should be held accountable over violent police conduct. This is based on how the police has been treating the citizens and demonstrators across the country. This person does not say where he comes from, but he says, I'm Jacob Otiso from Maua. They done their work well. I hope he means to say, I hope they did their work well. Let the opposition know this is not the time of the half-bred government. John Rwanda from Kash, that I think is Kakamega, says, now as I've seen, the government is directing citizens backwards. Hezron Omondi from Kisumu says, yes, they should be held accountable. Nkaiseri is in record asking the police to use excessive force against the citizens of the Republic, and he should account for that. What we witnessed police do was an act of terror against citizens and shouldn't be overlooked. Thank you very much. Keep your feedback coming on our Twitter handle, that is @_KUTV. The conversation goes on and on. Thank you very much indeed once again for choosing KUTV News at 9. I'm Corazon Safan. See you again tomorrow. Have yourself a wonderful evening.